one of our cultural traditions has always been that the parents don't take the primary disciplinary role with their kids. And so traditionally we would have extended families that would all live together in one group. And so when you had a big extended family, you took the pressure off of the parents and of damaging the relationship with their child by having a lot of aunts and uncles, and the aunts and uncles would be the ones doing the disciplining. So I remember when I was raising my 3 little boys, all I would have to say to them is, "I'm going to tell Uncle Brent," and they would shape up because they knew that Uncle was going to get after them, and it took a lot of pressure off of me as a parent so that I didn't have to be the disciplinarian. I didn't have to create a negative relationship. So I think that tradition, we still have some semblances of that tradition in our communities, and it's very helpful. But when Native American youth especially, move into the urban areas, we don't have that extended family system, and a lot of times that gets lost. And so parents are at a loss of how to address some of the disciplinary things. They're not used to playing that disciplinary role, and so a lot of times what happens is they turn to the police and ask the police to step in and do something about this kid. I don't know what to do. And I think it's a good example of how the culture clash, comes in. If you don't have that awareness and understanding, that culture clash, it brings kids into the system when a parent isn't necessarily saying this is a bad kid and they need to be involved in the system. It's just, this is not my role, and I don't know who else to turn to in the absence of these aunts and uncles grandparents that would traditionally be there. I think one of the things that research shows is that by and large, the majority of men that are in the prison system, men and women that are in the prison system that are Native American, have done their crimes while under the influence. And so to me, the criminal justice system is not, or should not be, so much about the punitive side, but just getting help for our people in our communities. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms that are used in our communities. And I think that really plays into the numbers of people that we have in the justice system. I think, we have a real big lack of mental health services and support type of services in our tribal communities. And I think, all of that plays into, just the how people respond to the trauma. And so when you're doing drugs or alcohol, and that leads you into a lifestyle that eventually you're going to end up in the system. So I think a lot of the things that are done are really done out of that trauma, and we haven't done a whole lot to address that on a community-wide level. So I really hope. I think I see some rays of hope in our juvenile justice system, that that there's an awareness there now that it isn't just about the crime, it's about the whole context of the crime. So I hope to see more of that. We really do want to take a proactive approach. We want to provide programs for kids where they're where they're doing something cultural, where they're doing something that gives them a sense of belonging in the community. All of those things that address that trauma. And I think that's a big part of what they're missing, especially here when they move into an urban area. They're a little bit more isolated, and so we want to try to provide as much support as we can for them living here in a cultural sense.